So this all starts off on September 24th, 2010. So Todd and a couple of his friends decide to go on a hunting trip scouting for mule deer between the locations of Windy Saddle and McAfee Cabin. The group had planned a 4-day hike in the Hells Canyon area. So they had an itinerary set up. They kind of knew what the game plan was. So the first couple days go great, no issues. So now we're on day 4, September 27th. At some point during the day, we don't know when this happened, the group decided to split up. And from everything I read, basically Todd was experiencing some significant knee pain that day. I'm not shocked. He, after hiking for several days, probably was really flaring up on him. And I think his wife believes that the group split up to give, Todd was going to take his time getting back while the rest of the group moved forward. And a lot of people question splitting up like this. And from what I read, people said that because they felt Todd was experienced and prepared, that he'd be okay on his own. I'm just always hesitant to ever split a group up, when we're hiking. I always, it's always good to leave it, at least pairs. Especially someone that's injured. I don't know how I feel about, the rest of the group going on ahead and just letting, the injured guy hobble along. So that's a little questionable in my mind. But the September 27th would be the last time anyone would see or hear Todd. So they were hiking together, split up, and now he's missing. All right, so fast forward to the next day, September 28th, 2010. Todd failed to show up at their ending spot at noon. So when that happened, his friends notified the authorities and a search and rescue operation kicked off not too long after. From what I was able to research, there were backcountry medics out of, I'm going to get this wrong, Joe, out of Orofino, and a helicopter from Hillcrest Aircraft Company to assist in the early search. And the airborne searchers flew kind of in a grid pattern of Bernard Creek, Bills Creek, Lightning Creek, and the east and west branches of Sheep Creek, McAfee Basin, and Bear Basin. So they were searching a good chunk of the area. In addition to the aerial teams, they had dog teams from Idaho and Clearwater counties. They also joined the operation. They also set up an incident command post at Heaven's Gate Lookout, and that was manned by personnel from the Sheriff's Department of Idaho and Clearwater counties. So pretty good-sized search and rescue operation going on. And in addition to Todd being missing, his dog was missing too at this time. So there was mention that they were doing aerial thermal imaging, but according to one of the searchers, the thermal imaging is difficult at best and can be greatly hampered by tree-covered deep valleys, gorges, and canyons. So
I could see that, like the heat signatures not being able to get through the canopy if it's heavy brush and stuff.
So we always talk about the thermal imaging that a lot of the aerial helicopters use, and this is an instance where it's not that effective. It's probably more effective in places, I would say, like a Joshua Tree National Park, something more flat and open. Okay, moving on to October 7th. So the search is still going on. He was reported missing on the 28th. We're now on October 7th. The search continues. The Idaho County Sheriff's team has continued to search by ground for the past 4 days. Canine teams from the High Country Search dogs began arriving, and multiple teams were deployed throughout that location the next few days after this. So they actually were getting dog teams from several different states. So they got teams from Montana, Wyoming, Washington, and Utah. So pretty cool to see that kind of coordination and effort. It's a week or two after he went missing. So fast forward to October 15th now, and actually some good news happens. Todd's dog Ruby, a black Labrador Retriever, was found on the eastern slopes of Seven Devils mountain range, according to a local news report from the time. So that's pretty remarkable. That his dog was found. They said the dog was dehydrated, but otherwise in good condition. So, searchers at the time said they were puzzled by the location of where the dog was found, since Todd was last seen on the western side of the canyon, and the dog was on the eastern side, and there's no way, from what I researched, that you can get across the river in that area. So, the dog somehow got over there, but it stuck out to me when I was doing the research that the searchers made a note to say that this was a puzzling discovery.
Sure.
One thing the searchers tried to do was they tried to get Ruby to lead them back to Todd, but they had no success doing that. So, pretty smart idea to try.
Yeah. You always hear stories of the dogs trying to help out, but maybe the dog didn't like, or was like too disoriented or something.
I mean, I know from experience when I've gone bird hunting in the past, the dog always knows the path back to the truck. Was the dog moved by somebody, or, who knows? We'll get into theories on that. So fast forward now to October 19th. This was the final day of the search for Todd. They've searched for the better part of a month, and I think they were planning to end the search a little earlier, but then they found his dog and got hopeful that, it might lead to finding Todd. From comments that I read from people that lived in the area or worked there, they speculated that the chance of Todd surviving that long in the Devil's Canyon area was pretty slim at that point. But,
okay.
Like I said, his family remained hopeful at this time as an experienced outdoorsman that he would somehow find a way to survive. And from what I read, his wife did make some visits to the area to continue the search, which it is pretty common to see families after the official search ends. Families will continue to, hit the park and walk the trails and, try to do whatever they can.
Sure. I mean, you got to feel so hopeless, almost like, almost like you just got to do something, even if it's kind of perilous. Like, it's just better than not doing anything at all.
So, that was really the last bit of information we had for over a decade on this case. And then there was a huge break in the case on April 26th of 2020. So the Idaho County Sheriff's Office and the Idaho County Coroner were notified by a hunter who found what he believed to be remains of a skull above Bernard Creek. So the hunter located other items in the area, including a pack containing camping equipment and a digital camera. So this hunter reported this information, and the law enforcement officials sent out 8 personnel from the sheriff's office, and they were taken by jet boat to the mouth of the Bernard Creek by Kilgore Adventures. They then hiked approximately 1 mile in, where they located a portion of a human skull and other skeletal remains. They also found hunting gear and a pack that Hofflander's wife positively identified as belonging to her husband. Officers were also able to recover photographs off an SD card located in the pack, which belonged to Hofflander. The authorities said that everything found at the scene indicated that the remains were Todd. So,
did they talk about what was on the SD card, like the photographs?
They just said that they were photographs that belonged to Hofflander. In the official press release, there wasn't any other information on the pictures on the camera. So now fast forward to actually just very recently, late January of 2021, the human remains found were actually officially identified as Todd Hofflander by the FBI, and they used DNA analysis. So, very recently that he actually was identified as Todd. So
Okay.
That's kind of where the timeline stops, Joe.